If you liked part 1, you'll like this one. Let's talk about Dune Part 2. After the fall of the Atreides population, Paul, played by Timothée Chalamet, decided to join the Fremen with Chani, played by Zendaya, to protect Arrakis and avenge his father's death. Throughout this story, Paul is told he is the Messiah and will bring the Fremen to paradise. He finally embraces it when he is called to southern Arrakis. This is when he decides to overthrow the Emperor and take leadership. So we have our special guest, my dad. As y'all know, we did DNA, so he is here to talk about Dune Part 2. I'm pretty sure we've talked about Dune Part 1. So what is your initial thoughts of this movie?
I liked it. It was a good movie. Good overall action as usual. Soundtrack was on point. The story was great. It will be a little long for some, but if they seen part 1, they definitely like part 2. So I definitely like part 2.
Same. Like, I really liked part 2, because you had, with part 1, it is confusing. Like, you have to watch it a few times to really grasp it. And if you really loved part 1 and you're like, man, like, I feel like there's so many things missing. There's parts that are missing. Part 2 will answer all of your questions. There's a lot of, there's this word that's being thrown out, like, when watching movies, and it's like, oh, there's a lot of filler, all these slow moments. But it's not filler. It's world building and getting some of these characters in depth.
Yeah, there's definitely world building in this movie. And if you've watched Dune Part 1, you can see how it leads. And by the way, this leads like immediately after the end of Dune 1 into Dune 2. You can tell right away. But yes, they're building the world and you care about these characters. You know, as I was watching this, I compared this to Attack of the Clones. Because in Attack of the Clones, that was supposed to be a love story, right? That was supposed to be where Anakin and Padme fell in love. And there was stuff happening around them. And George Lucas tried his best, but he just couldn't do it. In this movie, you could see the love story between Zendaya's character and Timothée Chalamet happening, but there was still action, intrigue, suspense happening around that. This love story felt fluid and real. It didn't feel like they were forcing me to love it. The chemistry was there, but it wasn't the main focus. It was just that if you were paying attention to the subtleties of Zendaya, by the way, Zendaya did an awesome job with this movie. But that just finds that this love story that's happening at the same time as this story and world building.
I think it does come from Zendaya's and Timothy's acting, definitely, for sure. Because I think of the last review I did was the Last Airbender, and the chemistry between those two characters. And it's a lot of telling rather than showing. And with Zendaya and Timothy, you can just see it in their face that the love is there. They're falling in love with each other. The looks,
the soft looks, like, and it was very well done, very well acted. Denis Villeneuve's direction, you could tell, was on point with this movie, and he's a great director. He
really is.
So this movie overall was great. Everything that laid out with the story, it's I don't have words for it. It's just spectacular.
It is. I really loved. See, at first I was like, oh, it's moving slow, because I was like, okay, we get it. He's the Messiah. Let's just we got that information. Let's move on. Let him accept it. But he really needed to earn it and really I love the ending where he finally is like, okay, I am the Messiah. I forgot the Latin term for it or whatever, but I'm finally the Messiah, and when he takes over, you can really see in his face, and like he's very much more powerful. Because in the beginning of the movie, I couldn't even imagine just 30 minutes in him accepting this role and it taking him seriously. Towards the end, you're like, okay, like he has the power. Like,
yeah, he didn't want it at first. He just thought, I want to lead these people to get revenge for my father's death. And of course, his destiny was with his destiny. Javier Bardem was friggin' awesome in this movie. Okay, Javier Bardem believed he was Messiah from the jump. He didn't want to hear nothing else about it.
Yeah,
you can't convince me otherwise. He. The best part is even when Timothée Chalamet tells him, or Paul tells him, "No, I'm not the Messiah. I'm not here to lead you guys. I'm not here to do nothing." And Javier Bardem is like, "See." Even his humbleness, that tells you right there he's the Messiah.
It tells you he's humble.
So, yeah, it was well written, well acted, and there was all power actors in this movie. All power actors.
Yeah.
James Brolin was awesome as usual in this movie. It was so great. I love the dynamics with him. Of course, Paul or Timothée Chalamet. How we respect him, and as he found him again, he was like my lord.
He's still like my lord, even though like you're younger, it doesn't matter. You're the Duke. Like this is what it is.
Yeah.
And it really shows. I do like this movie too when you think of like, oh, you have the star-studded cast and that's how you get the people in. But it reminds you like there are reasons why they're stars. There's a reason why these are A-list stars.
Right.
Like you see their acting come out instead of just using them to get people into the movies. You're showing their actor prowess. Like, yeah, y'all can act. Like, Dave Bautista. I've always loved Dave Bautista. So he was in this, and let's talk about the bad guys. I don't know their names.
Let's use your real names.
Yeah, it was Dave Bautista, Austin Butler, and Stellan Skarsgård.
Skarsgård, yeah.
Yeah. The three of them together, that dynamic was beautiful. Austin Butler, he's trying to get out of his typecast of Elvis, but everyone on TikTok is making fun of him.
Why?
But because of the interviews, not because of the movie, but because of his interview voice, it's still Elvis.
Is it still Elvis?
It's still doing the Elvis. Yeah. People are like, lose it. But anyways, what did you think of Austin in this movie?
Austin did good. His part wasn't very long. They may have made a mistake with Austin in this movie, kind of like what they did with Darth Maul, right? Darth Maul was a character they brought in the first one, and they killed him off. And that was a mistake. That's why I had to bring him back, because everybody loved him so much. Austin Butler's character was short-lived. He was in the entire movie, but he wasn't the main focus of the movie. But his character's powerful. You feared who he was. You can tell he was a badass. He was powerful enough to take down Batista. And his uncle knew, okay, my other nephew can't get it done. I know who can come in and get it done. So Austin Butler did a good job. I believed him.
Yeah, I would put him with Darth Maul and Heath Ledger's Joker. Just that intensity. The intensity and how it's just a short-lived character that everyone's gonna end up loving. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring the character back in some way. Even though yes, this is spoiler review, so you already know that. So yes, he's killed at the end. Yeah. And I'm like, I feel like since we didn't see the body, they're gonna figure out a way to bring him back because everyone already loves him so much. I don't know.
Yeah, they might.
We'll see.
Well, they know they're gonna have to follow the book, so the book's he him back. But anyway, but. Who knows? They may bring it back. But his character really served the purpose of moving it forward. And he did well. Dave Bautista as well. I believe Dave Bautista in this movie. He did really well with it. I was a little bit where I was a little like, okay, so in the first one he was this badass. In this one they kind of made him a jobber in the sense that he wasn't as much of a badass. He just kind of was a little afraid of what his uncle's going to think, and he kind of ran with a couple little things. So he wasn't much of a badass. He was still crazy though.
Yeah.
By the way, this has to be said. Why are people talking to Dave Bautista and Austin Butler, telling them they're tired, telling them they should do different things?
The little minions? Cut it! Why are you talking to me? You're done.
Like
slice.
Every time they said something, next slice. I mean.
You're slut. What do you? Who gave you the jurisdiction?
It's like they didn't even notice. Like, I saw all these other fools got killed. There's no way in hell I'm talking to this guy. No way in hell I'm talking to this guy.
No.
Anyway, so those are some good parts of the movie as well too. I enjoyed those.
So, what is your favorite scene from the movie?
Oh man, there's so much. I don't really have a particular favorite scene in the movie, because it was all good. The sound was really great for everything. The battles were great. I love the battle scenes where the sand, when they're the people from, I can't remember what they're called, but the people from the south of Atreides, they come out of the sand.
I do love that.
And they attack you and take stuff down. So I don't have any one particular scene.
Well, I know you like the black sun.
Oh, I did like that. I did like the black sun scene where Austin Butler was introduced. How everything was black and white, and that kind of had me nerding out. Because it made sense how they did it, because there was no white light, and of course, without white light, you can't have color. That's what makes color. White light is what makes color. So it's like the fact that they did it in all black and white because the sun had no white light was just tripping me out. I was like, they did this right.
It was good.
You know what I'm saying? And it was so cool to watch it in black and white, because on the inside where the Baron was, where he was covered with light, he was in color. But if you were outside in the sun, you were in black and white. It was so cool to watch. I did love that scene.
Yeah. I think my favorite scenes are also the ones where I really do like where the worms, because I like the worm scenes, and I like seeing the Iraqis and the Fremen in the sand.
Yeah.
And it shows how they own Iraqis. Like that, they know Iraqis better than any other kind that can come in, because they can control the worms. They know how to be on the worms, and they know how to hide in the sand.
Right.
I really just love those scenes because it showed like even if any foreign person that comes and tries to take over, it's like no, you can't because you're not Fremen.
You couldn't take the southern part of the
that.
planet because it completely had control of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good overall movie, man. You know, I have to watch it again because there was so much happening. And there's so much energy that was there in that movie. I have to watch it again to dissect it. Even though I fully understand everything that happened, I just feel like I've missed some things because there's so much.
There's so much lore.
There's so much lore. It's like eating a food that has a lot of spices in it, and you're like, man, I could taste all the different those things. And it was just like that. There's so many visual things happening with the movie that you kind of have to watch it twice just to go back and I know I missed something. Yeah, I know I missed something, right?
This movie definitely made me appreciate the sci-fi genre more because I've always kind of tried to avoid sci-fi because I've just been like I can't get into it. There's too many. I have to learn too many new words and all these things. But then once I was like, okay, Dune Part 1. You know, when you try to get into Star Wars, Star Trek, there's like years and years of stuff that you have to watch. So I've kind of just given up on that. But Dune is something new that I can start from. And Dune Part 1 I really liked, and then Part 2 just gave you all this lore. And I'm like, man, is this what really sci-fi is? It's all this like the drama and the politics, and it makes me want to get into Game of Thrones. So
yeah, good sci-fi really isn't about the spaceships and the lasers. Yeah. To be honest with you, the spaceship and the lasers for any sci-fi movie is really about that's just the dressing. A good sci-fi movie has a human story that's happening in it that you can follow. Because you have to be able to identify with the person you're looking at. If it's just pew, 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 right? Like, all right. Then it's like, okay, it's just a lot of explosions, but what am I following here? What Dune did really well was make us fall in love with the love of Paul and
Chani.
What's his name? Chani?
Chani.
I just call it Zendaya.
Yeah.
Paul and Chani. It makes you fall in love with their journey in this particular story and how they come together and how they will do anything for each other. And they were, their whole purpose is, of course, to take down the Baron, right? So following that human story is something we all can understand because it's a struggle. The sci-fi part of it was just dressing, which is, of course, the best parts. But, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
It beautifully shot. I love the practical costumes. Like, they got the seamstresses in there. They didn't try to do a whole CGI moment.
It was all practical.
It was all practical. So, and then the final sequence, the final fight scene with between Timothy and Austin Butler, I loved how it had no music and it was all sound design. So I see the Oscar coming for that.
Yeah,
too.
That was good.
Sound design, music. Of course, Best Picture might be in there. Acting.
Oh, this movie's gonna be nominated Best Picture for sure. Best Picture, Best Directing. It's gonna get all technical nominations. So yeah, this movie's gonna be the Oscars next year. That's for sure.
So what's your rating for the movie?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
I'm gonna solid 9 out of 10.
Same. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I could have did like one more fight scene in there. One good like fight.
Yeah, there could have been a couple more better fight scenes, a couple more hand to hand, personal fight scenes. There was a lot of battles, right? Large army battles, which is cool, but I think what would take this over the top was some more hand-to-hand individual fight scenes.
That's why I didn't like the Dave Bautista Josh Brolin fight. It was very quick and it's killed him. I was like, that was supposed to be a scene.
Yeah, I know why they did it that way though, because it did it that way. It's like, I'm a master fighter. You think you're a fighter. Let me show you something. Which is why he was like, let me fight. That's why Josh Brolin was like, let me take your place and fight this guy. When he talked to Paul, he was like, no, let me fight him. I can deal with him. And he's like, Paul's like, no, this is my responsibility. Yeah. He wanted to do it himself. But no. I know why they did it quick with Dave Bautista and Josh Brolin because, again, he's a master. I'm a professional fighter. Yeah. Right? So.
All right. Well, that's for our review of Dune Part 2. Let us know what y'all think of it down in the comments and make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see y'all later. Bye.
All right, guys.